welcome back to our channel. It's just me here today, and today I'm gonna share something that many of you have been asking about in various ways. So here is my guide to having a Chinese husband or partner. I'm gonna walk you through everything you need to know, from cultural nuances to navigating expectations in a relationship. So firstly, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you're interested in more content like this, give this video a thumbs up and we'll be sure to make some more for you guys. Okay, so first things first, relationships are all about understanding, communication, and respect. But when you're in a relationship with someone from a different cultural background, there are definitely a few extra layers to consider. So first I want to talk a bit about cultural differences you can expect in the relationship. When I first started dating Lee, I quickly realized that the cultural differences were not just about food and language, they were about values and ways of thinking too. For example, in Chinese culture in particular, family plays a huge role. This is something that you might not understand if you come from a culture where the family is more distant. Like, for example, I am a Westerner and we tend to be a lot more individualistic in our lives and decision making. So in Lee's family, they have pretty regular family gatherings, and it's normal for the parents to be pretty heavily involved in their kids' lives well into adulthood. That is just, I think, how they show love and care, and it's something I've learned to appreciate. But yeah, definitely at first I was not used to the idea of having so many people involved in our decisions, but I've come to understand it is an expression of love, not control. Another thing to note is that Chinese parents may drop in unexpectedly at any time. And when they do, they tend to be quite direct in giving advice. For example, Lee's mom might drop in randomly during the day, and she'll probably come with food and say, eat this, or you shouldn't eat this, or you shouldn't clean like this. And these things might feel quite blunt at first as a Westerner, but I have learned that it is their way of showing care and concern. It definitely is gonna take some getting used to for some people, but it's all about trying to understand their point of view and their culture, and understanding that they're really just trying to do what they think is best for you. So from a Western perspective, having your in-laws tell you what to eat or what to wear or something like that might feel controlling, but you have to remember it's really not personal. It's simply a different culture, and they are trying to show that they care. You know, if your in-laws are forcing you to eat this soup that you don't like or that you don't understand the need to eat, it's because they genuinely feel that it's healthy and that it's good for you, for example. They're not trying to be controlling, it is just a very different social approach. That kind of brings me into my next topic, which is food. In Chinese culture, food is not just about sustenance, it is a huge part of social life. There's always something delicious being prepared, and meals are often shared as a family or with friends. No individual meals, we are all sharing from the same plates with your own little bowl, right? That kind of signifies the social culture of food, I think. But I can guarantee for anyone in a relationship with a Chinese person, there is gonna be some level of adjustment that you will experience. For example, for me personally, when I first went to China when I was 19 years old, I had been vegetarian for the past 8 years, and obviously eating predominantly Australian Western food growing up. So there's a huge culture shock going to China, and not just going from eating white food and vegetarian to eating every animal and every part of the animal, it felt like, and all these new spices and flavors that you are likely not used to eating regularly. Something I will say is that I have found a lot of Chinese people tend to be less interested in eating from multiple cuisines. They tend to often want to eat predominantly Chinese food. At least that is the experience I've had with Lee and his family. This might be a difference of me growing up somewhere like Melbourne that is very multicultural. We are used to cooking different cuisines throughout the week. Maybe that's because we don't have much of our own native cuisine. But I do find that I am expected to eat Chinese food only when I go to Lee's parents' house, and to cook Chinese food predominantly at home for Lee. So do not be surprised if your Chinese in-laws or partner only take you to Chinese restaurants or only serve you Chinese food. Do not expect them to be serving you bread or whatever it might be seen as culturally normal for you. I think you would be disappointed. So if you're marrying a Chinese husband, be prepared to explore the world of Chinese cuisine, especially that of whichever city or region he's from. But also do not be afraid to share your food preferences or dietary preferences, and just try to find some compromises so that both of you get to eat what you want. Another big thing you'll need to keep in mind is you're gonna be embracing Chinese traditions and celebrations, whether it's for holidays or other special occasions or just in daily life. Things like Chinese New Year or the Mid-Autumn Festival are really important. For example, Lee's family celebrates these traditions with so much love and joy, and I've gotten involved by learning about the customs, making their traditional foods, and understanding the significance of these events and celebrations. So I would say if you are marrying a Chinese man, it is really about being open to these beautiful cultural traditions and not just celebrating them with them, but making them your own. It's not just about him adapting to your culture or you adapting to his culture, but actually sharing each other's culture. It's a two-way street. Learning the language. Ooh, this is probably one of the hardest ones, but the most valuable at times. A great way to foster respect in any cross-cultural relationship is to learn your partner's language. For me, learning Mandarin has not only helped me communicate better with Lee, but it's also helped me connect more with his family as well. It shows them that you respect their culture and you're willing to make the effort to actually be a part of it. Learning phrases in Lee's dialect has also been pretty instrumental in showing my respect and interest in his family's culture. It will definitely win you some brownie points at family events and just make you feel a bit more included when you can actually hear and understand what's going on and you can engage in conversations. So even if your partner can speak English or your language as well, for example, Lee is fluent in English, but some things still get lost in translation when you cannot communicate in your first language with your partner. So by me learning Chinese and communicating with him in Chinese, I'm able to get a much deeper understanding of his culture, his personality, and his family. Gender roles. This one is a little controversial. I think Chinese culture is kind of unfairly stereotyped as being more patriarchal as Western culture sometimes, and I think that's an interesting topic. So what I will say is, like many cultures, Chinese society has historically placed certain expectations on men and women, like all cultures, particularly in the household. There may be a more traditional view of gender roles where men are often seen as the primary breadwinners or decision makers, and women are expected to take care of the home. I'm gonna say this is the same in the culture I grew up in Australian or Western culture, so there isn't much difference there. Of course, this isn't always the case, and things are changing both in the West and in China, but it is something that you may definitely encounter, especially when it comes to family expectations or dealing with expectations from older generations. So while I do think these gender roles are existing in both Western and Chinese culture, I do think that Chinese parents or family may be a lot more direct about these traditional expectations. For example, Lee's mother is very confident in encouraging us to get pregnant, and you need to take this medicine and do this for your fertility, and you should be eating this for your fertility, for example, or you should cook like this, just encouraging or guiding me how to be serving Lee, how to keep the house clean, and how to cook. Well, sometimes for me this is like, leave me alone. And other times this is really helpful because as a young wife, I actually do not have that much experience in cleaning the house and cooking for a family rather than just cooking for myself. There's definitely a huge difference in how Lee's parents and my own parents encourage both of us in our gender roles. So I really do not get any advice or tips at all on how to do domestic duties from my parents. My dad does encourage me I should be working, you should have a job. But other than that, they don't say much, and I think that's pretty common for Western families. So don't be surprised if Chinese family members are a lot more direct in expressing their gender role expectations of you. So if you are in a relationship with a Chinese partner or you are planning to be, just remember that it's a beautiful journey of learning, growth, and respect for each other's backgrounds. And at the end of the day, love is universal. The key is to always communicate openly and support each other. So there you have it. That is my mini guide to having a Chinese husband. I really hope that you found this helpful, whether you're already in a relationship or just curious about what it is like. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or if you'd like to hear more about our cultural differences and how we navigate those in our relationship. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys!